So we're joined from Nashville, Tennessee, the 615 by my friend Danielle McGee Gibson, founder of Black Business Boom, professor at Tennessee State University. We thank you so much for joining us today. This is our entrepreneurship class. I've got a room full here with me at Velma Jackson High School. We're recording this for all of our friends in Madison County schools, Madison Central, Ridgeland High School, Germantown High School, the Academic Option Center, and our YouTube channel. So thank you for joining us again. We had you last year and it was a great time, and we're glad to have you again.
I'm excited to be here. It was a great time last year and excited to be back.
Well, obviously, we want to talk about all the things you do with Black Business Boom and Booming University, all the great things you provide. But let's give us a little background. You are originally from Chicago. You've been an entrepreneur hustler since you were 12 years old, and you attended HBCU Central State University there in Wilberforce, Ohio. So, just tell us a little about your how you were going around trying to make money when you were 12 years old, and then attending a great HBCU like Central State.
Absolutely, absolutely. So my late best friend, Antonia and she lived across the street from me, and we come from humble beginnings. So our parents didn't have a lot of money for us to go shopping and go to parties and, all the things that we wanted to do as teenagers. And we were like, well, we got to go out here and make some money. And how can we do that? And interestingly, I was just telling my husband this that my neighborhood or our block was like if you go one block in one direction, it's like the hood. And then if you go in the other direction, it's like the neighborhood where Obama's house is. And so with lots of huge mansions, we were kind of that dividing line. We lived on Drexel in Chicago. And so Obama's house was about 3 or 4 blocks from where I grew up, from 2 years old to 15. And so we were like, well, hey, there's all these big old houses over here. I bet these folks don't want to walk their dogs. Let's go and ring some doorbells and ask them, can we walk their dogs? And I
There you
think we
go.
were just charging $5 or $10. And this was a long time ago. So this was before dog walking was a thing, was a service. And so I feel like we were quite innovative at that point. Maybe it was a thing, but we certainly didn't know about it. But we had to hustle, and that's been just a part of our community and our heritage, just trying to make something out of nothing, looking for opportunities. And Antonia was then so when we went off to college, she went to college in Miami. I went to Central State in Ohio. But we stayed connected, and when after we graduated, she was the first one of our little group of friends to open her own business down
Wow.
in Miami. She opened a boutique, a brick and mortar boutique. So I was just like blown away by that, and it really inspired me, and it really just kind of speaks to the importance of the people you have around you and how much they can inspire you or drag you down. And so my friend Talia and we all have known each other for, at that point, we were mid-20s, and we had known each other since we were 5 or 6 years old. And we had a group chat on GroupMe, and we would just be like bouncing ideas. Hey, I got this idea for this business. Help me pick out a name. And I mean, it again just shows the importance of the network that you have,
There you go.
having those people. And because entrepreneurship can be so lonely, but because of those two, I remained inspired and motivated to move forward with my business. Antonia unfortunately passed away about 8 years ago, but Talia is still a very good friend of mine today. And her business that she started when we were bouncing those ideas 15 years ago almost is still in business right now today. Like she's
That's
still
awesome.
running that same business. I've had probably 8 businesses since then,
Yeah,
but
and we want to talk about all those, and we definitely
yeah.
want to talk about Black Business Boom. But I do want to briefly talk about your HBCU experience because we have six great HBCUs here in Mississippi. So even if kids aren't interested in being an entrepreneur, we want them to make really good decisions when they leave high school. And we have a lot of choices for them. Actually, we have eight HBCUs, six universities, and two community colleges. But as somebody that is a current HBCU professor at Tennessee State and as an HBCU alum from Central State, just talk about what HBCUs have to offer. Because one thing I always say, and I know they get sick of me saying this, historically black does not mean exclusively black. There really is an opportunity there for everybody. And I also don't think it's fair to put all black Americans or all black people in a microcosm of being the same. So even though people may look like you're going to meet people from all walks of life and all thoughts. So just talk about your HBCU experience as a student and as a professor.
Yeah, I absolutely loved going to Central State. It was an amazing opportunity again to meet people from all over the country. It was that I think that was kind of the cool part. I mean, of college in general is like being able, coming from the south side of Chicago, most people, we went to a certain set of schools, we, know a lot of the same people. And so this was the opportunity to really step outside of my comfort zone and get to learn things from different perspectives of people who, like you said, are black, but think totally different and act totally different and come from totally different backgrounds. It was just, I mean, it was an experience, it was, and it is so black, and I think that it's just like a sense of home, it makes you feel comfortable. Now, on the flip side, again, there's still this sense of learning from people who, even though we're all black, we all come from different places. We all have different backgrounds. So you get to learn so much. And like when you're in the trenches and in the struggle together, because everybody was like struggling in Wilberforce. There's Central State and then there's Wilberforce University, which is right across the street. And I mean, we were all just kind of struggling together. So it really gives a sense of community. We all are looking out for each other. You don't want to see anybody in a bad situation. You see somebody who may be struggling, you're gonna help them out. It was just an incredible experience. And then now, coming here to Nashville, it was kind of the same thing. One of the driving factors in me moving to Nashville, which I moved with my healthcare career. But I was like, oh, there's four HBCUs there. Like I had two opportunities to either come to Nashville or go to Tampa. And the fact that there were HBCUs here was really important. And so now, even as a 40-year-old adult, I still participate in like TSU homecoming. It's like my homecoming. I didn't go to school, but it's such a good time. Again, it's that same feeling of community and love and support and taking care of one another. And I'm like in my TSU sweatshirt, and, like excited to be part of the family. So it really truly does feel like family. And even with the students that I've taught at TSU, again, looking out for one another and just treating each other well and like family and helping someone if they miss class, making sure that they're caught up, all these things. I can't say enough about the HBCU experience.
Yeah, and that's a good point because you definitely have the family atmosphere. I tell the story all the time. When I was at Southern Miss in undergrad, I had a class that had about 400 people in it. And there was a guy in that class who I had literally known my entire life. I didn't know he was in the class until the last day. And I can bet you every dollar I got, that professor did not know my name. So it really is, and that's not a shot at Southern Miss because I loved my time there, but it really is a different type of atmosphere. So as everybody starts making college choices, it's important to think about that kind of stuff. Now, you did mention your
Absolutely.
healthcare career because you got a degree in healthcare administration, you've worked in
Mhm.
banking, and all that has kind of led you to start Black Business Boom, which has been an incredible community of Black business owners, not just in Nashville, but all over the country. And we were watching one of your videos. And one of your people in your program made a great point, and I talk about this all the time. I think it was a male. He said, "We may have the knowledge of what we do, but we don't have the knowledge of the business." And I use this example a lot. We have a guest of this class who is a very well-known doctor in the state of Mississippi. She is the only pediatric GI doctor in the state of Mississippi. Made a great name for herself in medicine. And she said, when I was in med school, I learned how to cure all types of diseases. I learned how to take care of patients. I learned how to help people get better, but I did not know anything about how to run a business. And that is such a common thing, especially in the black community, because you said you have that hustle mindset, but the opportunities weren't there for decades. obviously times are changing. We have this class where we get to hear from a
Yeah,
lot of professionals. You have your program, but that learning curve was there for a long time. And that's something that Black Business Boom has looked to change. And you have done just an incredible job of providing resources, classes, funding opportunities, and a network for Black business owners. So just tell us how all this came about and some of the things that Black Business Boom provides that people, especially young Black business owners, may not realize they need.
absolutely. So, I started my first business. It's been about 13 years now. I opened a brick and mortar spa on the south side of Chicago. Learned a lot of tough lessons. Just thought, I went to school, I got my MBA. I took some business classes and marketing classes, and even though my concentration was healthcare, I still knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. And so healthcare has always kind of been in my mind the fallback plan. If all else goes wrong, I can go back to healthcare. I can always get a job over there. And but that it was so rough, and was out again hustling, bartending, cleaning houses, driving for Uber, all while running the business, just to be able to pay my bills. And I wanted to make sure that I was doing something for other Black business owners to not experience a lot of what I experienced. That led me to file bankruptcy. It took me years to build my finances and my life back up after that. And so what initially happened was I was here in Nashville and I started teaching entrepreneurship classes, and everybody was like, I'm struggling with marketing and sales and how do I get customers through the door? And I was like, man, Groupon was really helpful for me with my spa. It helped us to get people through the doors. How could I build a Groupon for Black-owned businesses? But how can I do it better? Like my idea was always to do it better. And when I say better, I mean less costly to the business and building in a loyalty component, because that's one of the marks that I feel like Groupon misses, is that they do a good job of getting people through the door, but a lot of these people are coupon shoppers and you never see them again. So I
Absolutely.
had to really focus on loyalty marketing once
There
I
you go.
got them in the door, collecting that data, keeping them engaged, and bringing them back. And so I was like, how can I build a platform to do this? And that's what I did. And we grew really quickly. We had over 400 coupons in less than 90 days across the country. But through that process, I started to learn that these businesses didn't have websites. They, didn't have the funding they needed. They didn't have, just so many, there were so many gaps that it became real like, oh, these are side hustles. These are not businesses. How
There you
can I
go.
help to take them to the next level? How can I help them to get all the things that they need to become a real business? And that's when Booming University was born. We sat down and kind of envisioned first what it would look like to teach these businesses about marketing and help them get websites and help them with their social media. And it's just expanded into financial literacy. That's another big gap, something that so many in our community struggle with. And man, it can put you not understanding your finances, both business and personal, can put you in such a bad position. Because as it did me. So that's become really important to me. Using my background as a banker, which I never really considered to, that how that would play a part in what in the work we do, but it plays a huge part. All the lessons I learned through bankruptcy, which they make you take a financial literacy class when you file in bankruptcy. So taking all these hard lessons that I've learned and using them as a way to help others avoid those lessons. So all of our courses are just my personal experience and things that I've learned over the years that I've put into a curriculum, and we couple that curriculum with one-on-one support so that because there has to be a customized approach. Every entrepreneur is different, every background is different, every business is different. So it's really hard, to create a course that really fits the needs of everyone. Some people are more advanced, some are a little slower. And we want to make sure that everyone gets what they need. So now we have that one-on-one coaching component. Everyone gets at least three one-on-one coaching sessions
Wow.
in all of our programs. Most are more like five. And it's a requirement that you do them because that's where the magic happens. So
Absolutely.
it's been a great journey again. Just a lot of the lessons I've learned that I just turned into a business and a nonprofit organization. As you mentioned, we started off as a social enterprise, a for-profit social enterprise. We've now transitioned most of our work over to our nonprofit. Their social enterprises, you all may go into some of this. They're not as popular as I feel like they should be.
Yeah.
And I think some of that is because there are only, I think, 7 states that recognize it as an actual business designation. It's a L3C, and those L3Cs are only offered, in a few states. So most Black folks that I know have some sort of social cause that either cause them to start the business or they give back money to, or it drives them to do the work that they do. But we don't, we th always think, let's create a nonprofit, not understanding that there's kind of a hybrid approach in a social enterprise. And so we did really well as a social enterprise until we had to transition to a nonprofit just because we were going to miss out on a lot of money if we didn't. So I encourage entrepreneurs to look into social enterprises versus starting a nonprofit that has a lot more oversight, lot more reporting and all these things that doesn't necessarily give you the autonomy that most entrepreneurs are looking for.
There you go. Now, one thing I think is important because they don't know it yet, but they're getting ready to have an assignment on mission and vision statements. And I know that's such a big part of the beginning of businesses. And I know it's something that you really help these entrepreneurs that are starting out with because, every business isn't reinventing the wheel, but they can be reinventing the way things are brought to a customer. They can be reinventing the way it's delivered, reinventing the way it's marketed, reinventing even kind of reinventing the way it looks. So as you know, and everybody in this class has come up with their own original business concept, and we've got all types of things from barbecue to anime to boutiques to cars. So really interesting ideas. Now, if they come to fruition or not, that's fine. But it's just having the idea and thinking like an entrepreneur now. So, as you're opening a business, as you're at your beginning stages, why is it so important to have a mission and vision statement that not only makes sense to you, but to your customers and to your potential employees? Because I always say, your goal as a business owner is always to have the business be able to run when you're not there. And that
Mhm.
starts with a solid mission statement that shows what you're about. So, as you're getting ready to get into that, and we're literally going to start it Tuesday when we get back from Labor Day, why is it so important to have a solid foundation with your mission and vision statements starting a business?
One reason, and the initial thing that came to mind is your team, right? So if everybody on your team needs to understand the mission and the vision so that they're driving toward it. And the way you get there can change, but the mission and the vision remains the same. But honestly, many of us will be solopreneurs and we won't have a team, right? So then that message doesn't even make sense when it's just you, and that's fine too. But many times you need a reminder. So there are so many days when I need a reminder of the mission and the vision of Black Business Booming University. I have to remind myself why I'm doing this. And not only that, I have to make sure that every partnership, every grant, every opportunity, every conversation, everything is aligned with that mission and vision. It can be very easy for someone to be like, hey, you want to partner and do this thing? And it just seems like a great opportunity. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really align with your mission, your brand, your vision, and all of those things. So it's really important for us as entrepreneurs to remind ourselves, to keep that reminder of, This is why I started this thing. This is who I want to serve, and this is where I see us being in the future. So it seems tedious, and it's a step that a lot of entrepreneurs skip. We think
Yeah.
we can skip all these steps, right? Like, and still be successful. And honestly, I just try to encourage folks to there's a roadmap to success in entrepreneurship. Why not use it? If somebody
There
is
you go.
giving you the blueprint and telling you these are the things that successful entrepreneurs have done, why would you do something different? The success leaves clues, as Lamar Tyler always says. So, there all these people have come before us and they had the mission and they had the vision statement. I mean, those things can change and they do change, and that's fine. But it's very important that we're updating them as our business changes, that we keep those things in the forefront and we keep them updated.
Yeah, and plus you'd be shocked at the amount of customers that actually look for that. I mean, people are wanting to say, if I'm going to do business with with this company, I want to see what they stand for. So it's also very important from a PR perspective. Now, you did mention something before I get
Very.
to their questions. You did mention something I did want to hit on real quick. You talked about the importance of the finances. There are literally, especially since COVID, so many remote financial people now that specialize in small business. And I got to give a shout out to my friend Kendra Dancy in Montclair, New Jersey, who's a friend of this class,
Mm.
owner of the Black Report, specializes in black-owned
Mm.
businesses and does their bookkeeping. I can connect you guys if you want, but
Please
she
do, yes.
specializes in black women. She handles, because she's like, because you said it, you may not understand finances, but you're going to have to in order to run a business. She takes care of that and handles all the heavy lifting on the
Mm.
financial side. So there are tons of entrepreneurs like
Yes.
her that are here to help and are way more affordable than using some of the larger firms.
Yeah, and I think, you have to know enough to hire the right person. So that's really important in, I think, marketing, finances, legal. You have to understand the outcomes that you're looking for, and you have to understand these concepts enough to choose the right person to help you reach your objectives and goals in your business. And that's what we're trying to help people to do, to at least understand these financial principles enough to ask the right questions to get the right people on your team.
Big time. Well, I got some good questions here. This first one is to Kayla Cross. She's in 10th grade. Really interested in anime type stuff. Just trying to bring that to the community. There's a big demand for that. I'm a casual fan of it, but I know there's a big market for that right now. And she asked, "What skills do you think are most important for someone to be a good entrepreneur?"
So hard skills, I would say, that's a tough one because you play so many different roles in entrepreneurship. I would say understanding digital marketing is one that's really important to me. Like, if you know how to do digital marketing as an entrepreneur, you can really take off. We're in a digital age. Folks are not doing as many billboards and radio spots and that type of thing. So if you know how to and you become comfortable with marketing online, I think you can absolutely win. That I don't know how to do everything, but I know how to do that well, and it's really helped me tremendously in our growth. But I think on the flip side, not necessarily a skill, but just having tenacity. It's a hard road, and there are many days where you're gonna be like, I can just go get a job. It's much easier I still have those days. Every time I tell somebody I'll come work for them, they're like, "You're not coming to work for it." And I'm like, some days it's just easier, but there will be so many difficult days, and it's gonna be some days that are up and down in the same day. It's a great day, and then it's a bad day. And so being able to pull yourself up to keep on going is really important.
I love this one. This is Jameer Mayfield. He's in 11th grade, member of our band and our color guard here at Velma Jackson. Has a great idea for a barbecue he wants to start, but he asked, "What were the biggest struggles you faced when you first started opening your businesses?"
Getting customers. It's not as easy as one would think, right? That's
That's
where
a
those
great point.
marketing skills come in handy. It's very difficult to get a paying customer base. You know and that's the if you don't have customers, then you don't even need to do finances because there's nothing to account for.
And
But
it's got to be
so
people that aren't your friends.
exactly. So really identifying that target market and finding the ways to reach them, man, very difficult for most entrepreneurs, and that's why tools like Groupon came in handy for me as I was still learning how and learning marketing myself, but yeah, that's tough, I think, for most entrepreneurs.
I got time for two more. This is Tredarius Quinn. He's a member of our band. He's here. He's in 10th grade. And he asked, when you were in college, how did you manage your time being an entrepreneur and a student?
So I wasn't an entrepreneur during college. I actually took a break, but I did work full time. So,
Uh,
yeah, so it was really just about managing it, like having a plan, knowing this is the time I'm gonna be in classes from this time, I'm gonna work from this time, I'm gonna have this time for social outings, for homework, for all of those things. So as an adult, like now they call it like time blocking, so making sure that you have specific things. And I'm not gonna glamorize things, it was a lot of very late nights, a lot, even as an adult, I didn't go full time in entrepreneurship until 5 years ago. So I was
wow.
working a full-time job and working the business pretty much full time as well. So I was working, 9 to 5 and then 5 to 2 a.m. and then doing it all over again. And it takes that sometimes, like it's not pretty, and I don't encourage like team no sleep and all that. I think you need to get some rest. But the grind is sometimes you just got to be deep in that grind and be willing to do whatever it takes. And sometimes and there's a lot of sacrifice.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point because something that I've learned, since I started this program, more and more entrepreneurs are not just jumping into full-time entrepreneurship because of the
Yeah.
risk. And we did a great project on risk and rewards. You're not going to have a guaranteed income. You're not going to have the health insurance. So especially if you have a family, it's okay to keep working that job to get the guaranteed paycheck
Absolutely.
and get the benefits, even if it's a part-time job. Until
Absolutely.
you're absolutely ready to jump in full time, it's okay, and it's not uncommon, but it is a grind. And I just
I
get so mad.
encourage it.
I think we talked about this last time, and I just get so mad because I'm a huge fan of Jasmine Sullivan, but her song makes
Mm.
me so mad where she talks about I'm going to move to Atlanta, open a business, and I'll never be broke again. And I'm like, it don't work like that.
Not at all. And there again, I don't like to glamorize entrepreneurship. It's lovely now, but it took, lots of years for me to get here, lots of sacrifice, lots of, moving from this apartment to that apartment because it's a little cheaper and I have a little bit more
Yeah.
money to put into my business. It's a lot of sacrifice.
Big time. Well, I just got one more. This is Shanaria
Okay.
Lewis. She's in 10th grade, and she asked, "What has been your biggest motivation, and what types of results make you the most happy in this role?"
That is a great question. Biggest motivation for me is freedom. I like my time freedom. I like to wake up late, didn't get out of bed till about 11 today. I was on vacation all last week. I like to be able to do whatever I want to do when I get ready to do it. And that is what motivates me. It's not about the money for me. It's about the impact and the freedom. And so that is what keeps me going. Last week, me and my husband were in Fiji for the week
Must be
and we
tough.
came back and I launched a new business yesterday.
Wow.
So so the work came right back, but I was motivated to come back and grind because I want to be able to do that all the time. Like
That's awesome.
we take probably 3 or 4 international trips every year, and every time I come back fired up because I got to make enough money to keep doing that. So that's what
Very
keeps
cool.
me motivated.
Absolutely. Well, we're almost out of time, and as always, we thank you so much for joining us. And I'm just glad the weather kept us from having Wi-Fi issues. But before we go, a couple things. Blackbusinessboom.com. Tell us where we can find all the stuff you put out there, doing some great things.
Absolutely. Black Business Boom on all platforms, blackbusinessboom.com. If anybody wants to reach out to me directly, I'm Danielle at blackbusinessboom.com, Black Business Boom on Instagram, in LinkedIn and Facebook. And I would love to connect with anyone. And I'm Danielle McGee, MBA on LinkedIn as well.
Yeah, and we'll definitely get all those socials out to all of our teachers. So if anybody wants to reach out, they certainly can. But the last thing before we go, um, obviously we talked about the importance of changing the narrative of Black business owners. So I've got a
Mhm.
lot of very intelligent, gifted, great business-minded young Black kids in here with me right now. Why is there such a need for them to at least consider being an entrepreneur of some sort, whether it's a side hustle, whether it's a part-time business, or even a full-time business? Because the need for Black businesses has never been greater in this country.
Yeah, it's the only way we're gonna close the wealth gap. It's the only way we're gonna not have that we're gonna have limitless revenue and income coming into our households and allow us to hire more people in our neighborhoods. We can really truly change
There you go.
lives as
There you
Black
go.
business owners when we are thriving and we're able to go out and employ young people and teach them. Again, the results and the impact is endless. And like you said, we've been historically marginalized, and now we it's time for us to step up and make sure that the next um, set of entrepreneurs, the next generation of entrepreneurs, have what they need to be successful. Because it's the only way that we're going to pull our community up, and we're going to close that wealth gap.
I love it. Well, again, we thank you so much for joining us, and I appreciate you waking up because I know you value your sleep. I appreciate you getting up for us. But my friend, and next time I'm in Nashville, I got to meet you guys. But
Yes, come
Danielle
on.
McGee
Yes.
Gibson, all the way from Nashville, Tennessee, founder of BlackBusinessBoom.com. We thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
I'll talk to you soon, buddy.